Hello everyone, and welcome back to DTBTV. So I'll just wait for a few of you to join. So we've just seen the news, some exciting news really, with the fact that we'll be back at Anfield in August against Athletic and against Osasuna, which is great, in two friendlies at 75% capacity. So that's great news. Also with the fact that, you know, we're not far away now from the start of the season. Jesus, our Coles is noisy today, but I can't shut the windows because it's too hot, and I'm sure you're all boiling wherever you are as well. So this is just a little chat. Let's just see. I'll just answer some questions. Yeah, Tom, I'm all right, mate. As I just said, apologies for the noise you can hear outside. Arcoll's Lane today has just gone absolutely mad. It's a hot one in Liverpool. I'm sure it's hot where you are as well. So yeah, I'm glad I cut all my hair off. Feel a lot cooler anyway. Let's just say that, in terms of the weather, not how I look. But yeah, so great news about the two friendlies. With Athletic and Osasuna. The players look great in training at the moment. Canate looks like a man mountain. It's great to have Virgil back. I'm gonna have to shut these windows. It's just too noisy. Sorry a second. There you go. That's a bit better. As you can imagine, I didn't want to shut the windows because of how hot it is, but it's just far too noisy today, Arcoll's Lane. So yeah, so as I was saying, yes, the players look great in training. Milner looks as fit as ever. Obviously, we need to. I still think we need to bring in a central midfielder. All right, Tom, we need to bring in a central midfielder to replace Gini Wijnaldum. I'm surprised we haven't done that yet. But you know, as far as I'm concerned, the squad looks fantastic. Obviously, the goalkeepers are top quality. You know, we've got right backs with Nico Williams and Trent Alexander-Arnold. We've got obviously more centre backs now than we've ever needed ever at Liverpool. Well, obviously with Curtis Davis, Joel Matip, Van Dijk, Gomez, Canate, Nat Phillips, Reece Williams. I mean, how many centre backs after what we went through as well? I thought that was quite funny, really, isn't it? You know, left backs, obviously we've got Robertson and Tshimikas. Who knows if he'll still be here in a few weeks' time. Midfield, obviously Curtis Jones, Shaqiri, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Taki Minamino, Fabinho, Henderson, Thiago. Who else am I missing? Grujic. So you know we've got a strong midfield. Strikers, you know, Origi's still here, but I'm hearing. And I said this a few weeks ago, if you can remember when I said that I thought that Rangers would come in for Harry Wilson and Origi. I think they want the pair of them. And it would be based on... I heard a noise there, sorry. It would be based on, basically, Rangers qualifying for the Champions League, because Celtic play their first game tomorrow in the Champions League against, weirdly, that Copenhagen. I think they knocked them out last time. But anyway, Rangers have still got to qualify for the Champions League, and obviously I think it's like £28 million, isn't it, for them if they get in the group stage. So I've got a feeling that if Rangers qualify, then the first thing they will be doing is raiding Liverpool for some good players. And if you think about it, Origi, he'd do decent for Rangers. He'd do well for them in the SPL, but he's quick. He's got good with both feet. He's a Champions League winner. So, for example, you look at it like that, and Harry Wilson as well would be a great signing for them. So I've heard he's interested in both of them. So if that's the case, then I think this window things are going to happen a little bit later on. So I think basically it'll be one of them windows where we might do business later in the window rather than early in the window like we normally do, because it's definitely a case of we need to sell to buy. It has to be by now, because if it wasn't, then we wouldn't be waiting this long to replace Gini Wijnaldum. It would be done by now. So Yeah, it's got to be that. So let me just see if there's any more comments quickly. Yeah. Well, Baldy, how are you? It's just so hot. I'm a McMillan, for God's sake, so we don't cope well with the Scottish with heat as it is, and my hair was so thick. I'm quite lucky, really. I'm never really going to go bald unless I do it like this. And I did what every man's done before, right? I bought some clippers the other week, and I thought, right, I'll just give it a little bit of a, shave to the side and around, and I went, and I thought, oh no. So the whole lot just had to go. But you know what? I feel so cooler just by having it, and that's the main thing. See, I knew I'd get a bit of stick about my hair today, but Jesus Christ, I had a hairband in last year with hair down here, and I took the stick for that, so I'm sure I can take a stick for a bit of a bald head quite easily. But yeah, cheers, Joseph. I hope you're all right, mate. What about Henderson? Sorry, mate, Pato. Sorry, I think it's because he's been injured for the last 3 months. I forgot about our captain. Yes, sorry, Henderson is his first name on the team sheet for me. In fact, me and Craig were talking about that the other day, how a lot of supporters at the moment are putting up like their 11 for next season, and Henderson's not even in it. So people, he never gets the respect he deserves. I mean, that was just a mistake from me because I'm boiling hot and I was just trying to think off the top of my head what's going on. FSG need to solve Henderson's situation. It's embarrassing. Yeah, Lawrence, I read about that this morning. Yeah, that they've been talking about a contract for a while now and nothing's materialised yet. Yeah, Hendo has to stay, but I know his contract still has 2 years to run. And in 2 years, he's going to be, 32? FSG out, Scott. That happens every pre-season. And who do you want to bring in? Who you're entitled to your opinion, but who are you bringing in? You want one of them Dubai people, do you, that Man City have, or do you want, someone that that PSG have? Because that's basically who you want then, because we have to make sure that we're run as a business. And the fact is, Henderson's on a big contract right now, and he will get an extension. But maybe they just want to wait another year in case he gets injuries. And what's wrong with that? You have to have sensible, calculated decisions. Let's not forget that we're all raving about the fact that they've just they're giving Alisson a new contract. They're giving Virgil van Dijk a new contract. They're giving Salah a new contract. They give Mane a new contract. I mean, let's not forget. In fact, if anything, you can't slag FSG out over contracts, really. All right, Gini Wijnaldum. But having said that, Gini Wijnaldum, and I'll stand by this. Gini Wijnaldum was not worth 180 grand a week. Yes, he did great. Yes, he was great, and he puts himself about. All right, look what he did for Holland. Yeah, but that was an advanced role. But I'm on about. You couldn't put him in the bracket of Van Dijk, Salah, Mane, because they're our top earners. I don't think you could have put him in that bracket. And one thing I would stick up for FSG's for is his contracts are normally done and dusted, and they're always signed. In fact, they've been brilliant with contracts. Yes, they probably need to spend a bit more, but again, we've got to say it again, it's a pandemic, and I've said this, they've spent 100 million since September on Konate, on Jota, and on Thiago, with no outgoings. So maybe they're just going to wait. Maybe they'll just wait. Salah's not been given a new contract yet, but Salah still has quite a bit to run, doesn't it? I meant that he's been given a new contract quite recently. It's not long ago, was it? I mean, none of our contracts are running low, really. The only one that was, afternoon Skirtle, the only one that was Gina. And I said this, and I've said this many times before. Liverpool offered him a couple of contracts that were improved on what he was on at Liverpool, and he rejected them because he wanted to walk out on a free to make the biggest amount of sort of weekly wage he could make for probably his last biggest contract. And do you know what? He'd earned the right to do that. No, I didn't lose a bet, bud, with my hair. I'm just absolutely roasted. I'm sure not the only man. It's a skinhead. It's just a fucking skinhead, for God's sake. Come on, let's talk about football. So, I know you had to say that. Sal Scott would be a great signing. Anyway, it's great to talk about football again in terms of we've now got sort of two fixtures because those that are on my personal Facebook, in fact, I put it on this group yesterday. I was moaning yesterday. I stand by it. I've never felt as far away from Liverpool as in my whole life than I do at this moment in time, because it's the gap now is absolutely huge. It's huge between supporters and players. It is absolutely massive. You know, people say Melwood we moved to train with the academy. It wasn't just that. They moved from Melwood because they didn't like the fact the fans could stand and congregate outside. They didn't like the fact that people could peek over the wall. They didn't like the fact that they just didn't like the fact that it was in a location where people could access it. They just didn't like that, and I know that because I know people that work there. And that's why there was that rule where you were told not to stand and wait for autographs. I mean, how bad is that? How bad is that you couldn't even stand and wait at the training ground gates for your heroes with your kids for them to meet their heroes? And that is how far away now the fans are from the players. And it's like, I say it again, don't think, I was moaning yesterday about the fact they're not playing the Chesters, the Tranmeres and Blackburns that we normally play, and that we've pissed off to Austria. And I was moaning about that based on the fact that they're the games that fans around this area can get to because they're general sale. Most of them live close to them areas, and it gives them a chance to see Liverpool every season. But what we've done is we flew to Austria, we're having friendlies over there, and then let's not get it twisted, we're jetting back to Anfield for two reasons. Two friendlies, right? And two friendlies to make money. And that is as simple as it gets. They want to maximise the fact that they can get two friendlies played at Anfield for money. And I've got no problem with that. The club needs to make money and everybody wants to be back in the ground. But let's not get it twisted. These two games at Anfield are not going to be a fiver to get in, are they? So, simple as that. Just reading that now, it's wrong, yeah. I personally would rather see more homegrown players signed. It was a sad watching England and no Liverpool player featuring other than Hendo coming off the bench. All right, Mate. So, yeah, it's a big season for us. Let's not get it twisted. I generally believe if we didn't get Van Dijk injured and we didn't get the most horrendous injury situation I've ever seen in my 37 years of being a Liverpool fan, that we would have won back-to-back Premier League titles. I've got no doubt about it. And I just think that Pep Guardiola knows this. He knows that Liverpool are back. They're back now. They're back to full strength. He knows how good Ibrahim Konate is as well. So he knows now that they're not going to get away with it against Man City as a scot-free season, right? This is why he's desperate to bring in Jack Grealish and Harry Kane. I've shaved it off, Matty, because I'm boiling. So yeah. So basically, I've shaved my hair off. Like I say, I expected to get a bit of grief from my hair, but anyway. Going back to what I'm talking about football-wise, because that's what we're running, a football group, not what does Neil look like week. But I know you're only winding me up, Matty, mate. How you doing anyway? So it's a big season in terms of, have we dropped off? Are we still as good as we were the season before? And that's what we've got to do. We've got to send out a message, and we've got to start fast. We've got to win the first 4, 5, 6 games and say, here we are. Here's Liverpool again. Clean sheets, winning. The fans will be back, and that was a major difference as well. No supporters. I know everybody else had no supporters, but if there's ever a stat that can prove that Liverpool were the most hit by no fans, then you only have to look at the fact that whilst we had fans in the stadium, we were 5 years unbeaten at Anfield. And then basically when we stopped getting supporters, I think we lost 6 in a row. Cheers, Andy, mate. So it's like mad. So basically, I mean, I'm glad to be back. It's been a mad football hooligan. Yeah. It's been a mad few weeks. Obviously busy with my kit manager job at AFC Liverpool, but also all the shit I was taking online, and that I had to go to the police to sort. That's stopped now, thankfully. And if he comes back again, the police are gonna track him or whoever it was. So that's good. So. It's just going again now. It's starting the season. Like I say, Craig is taking all of the pressure off me now with the new scratch cards and everything he's going to be doing. He's going to be doing everything. I mean, Not going to be doing anything like that because I'm just overrun at the moment. I just said, Stuart, about FSG. There's nothing new to me what they're doing right now. Basically, they're waiting to sell in order to move the next one in and the next one out, which is how they've always done it. It's how we've done it since FSG started. We are not Manchester City. We are not Paris Saint-Germain. We cannot play football manager. We have to run Liverpool Football Club as a business. It kills me to say it because it affects us as supporters, because we get thousands of fans demanding every top signing going. We want this 100 million player. We want that 80 million player. But then they start moaning about the fact that it's £65 to get in, or it's £100 for a home shirt. I don't demand top signings all the time because I would rather us be the Liverpool that I supported in the 90s, where you could get the shirt for 30 quid a season. You could go to the games for, 30 quid for each match. You could go to the, whatever. You could just, it was just better then. You had the Robbie Fowlers, the McManamans, the Barnes, the Rushes. Do you know what, everyone? I want you to answer this question in the comments. If you could go back to any era now, what era would you want to go back to, right? And I guarantee you, 99% of you won't say last season, because all it was about, it's different now, right? It's so true. It's like, give me back the days when, Stan Collymore was our record signing at 8.5 million, and we were getting players for a couple of million. Like, we bought Sammy Hippier for £2 million, and we were getting like players like, Hamann for 8 million, and Cinema Pongols, Latalics, and now it's, you're getting Harry Maguire for £80 million, you're getting Jadon Sancho for 90. They're not worth that. It just does my head in. It really pisses me off. It's like this Tielemans. All right, he's decent. It's not 70 million decent. Everyone's raving about Tielemans. I'm like, so where did Leicester finish last season again? Oh yeah, they dropped out the Champions League with Tielemans in the midfield. So why is he so great? I just don't get it. And then people was having a go at me because I wanted Jack Grealish. And Jack Grealish is 10 times better than Tielemans, in my opinion. He drops off the ball, he's good, he's quick, he can play on both feet, he draws. I said the 90s John myself. And yet I got grief, and everyone says that Grealish ain't worth the money, but yet Tielemans is. I was listening to Jose Mourinho on the radio, and let's not forget the players he's worked with. And he said that he's the closest thing to Luis Figo he's ever seen in his life. This is Grealish. So, and I said this, can you imagine our midfield, right, with Fabinho and Hendo holding, and Grealish in the three, or can you imagine him playing behind the two? So I know last season, quite a few times, Klopp dropped to a 4-3-1-2, and he was dropping Shaqiri in the hole behind the two. So Salah and Mane was up top, and then he'd play either Bobby in the hole behind, or he'd play Shaqiri. Can you imagine Grealish just behind Mane and Salah? So that's what pisses me off, when fans are demanding Tielemans for a 75-80 million, and then I get ridiculed. And by the way, I wasn't just saying Grealish 6 months ago when he starts to get really good. I was saying Grealish 12 to 18 months ago, because he was performing like that for Villa then. So it's British transfer fees, they're all overrated, but I just think that we can't as supporters sit here and demand lower ticket prices and demand easier rights to tickets and lower merchandise, and then say we want Tielemans, FSG out, want him in this week, £80 million. Because if they're going to provide players like that, they're going to need to maximise every penny out of our pocket. And there's that famous image that I love that is on the Kop on a banner, which is the Liverpool fan being tipped upside down and dangled like that with the coins all coming out of his pocket. We should be able to see a good football team, right, without having to spend money like Man City and everything else. It's as simple as that. So yeah, that's my little rant over. It's nice to be back, actually. I do miss it. So I've just looked at the fixture list. So AFC Liverpool, we play Thursday against Warrington, the Saturday away at Grantham Town, and then we don't have a game for a week until we play Vauxhall Motors in our first league game, and then we don't play for the week after until we play in the FA Cup. So I'm going to be back a lot more. I'm going to be back a lot more, be doing more videos, and Craig will be joining me in the studio here. So yeah, it's great to be back. And John, I just reading your comment there about the club leads profit. You're right. They lost, I think it's 90 million in revenue from Anfield being shut last year. And you've got to remember that our wage bill as well, the players were still getting paid. And that's why I agree so much with Simon Jordan when he says that the players were a disgrace during the pandemic, which they were, because they were the only sector that stayed fully paid really during the pandemic. And literally, if they would have just gave away half of their wages and said, right, say if I don't know, Van Dijk on 200 grand a week, and I said, right, the club, we need to keep this club going, just pay me 100 grand a week until this pandemic's over, because at the end of the day, yous have been good to me, yous pay my wages. Did any of them do that? Did they fuck? At every single club, no they didn't. And people like myself were told to go and find another job, even though I busted a bastard gut 50 hours a week, making sure the areas were sanitised and that. Tottenham had furloughed their staff. Arsenal had sacked over 55 of theirs, and they all kept fully paid. And that's the reason why I've got that little monkey on my shoulder now with top level football. I'm not a bitter ex-employee of Anfield. I'm a lad that stands for the right of football, and football should be exactly where I work at the moment, affordable. And that's why I work for Affordable Football Club Liverpool, right? And that's why that club was set up in 2008. And I will push that club with everything I have got to make sure. And I put an image up yesterday that he's all loved. And it was that kid leaning on the banner at a non-league ground. And the headline said, make sure you don't teach your children that football is only a TV show. So true. Get your kids to your local non-league ground if you can't get in that stadium, because I tell you something now, football is dying from the top downwards, and the only thing I think it's going to keep it going at the moment is the clubs down in the pyramid that are still, you know, pushing their boat out to make sure that people can watch football, and that's what I'll always stand for. I may get the fake shirts from China, but I always buy legit shirts and walkout jackets from Liverpool online. You're entitled to buy whatever you want, Andy. But do you know what? If you've got a budget of 200 quid for your kids for the week, you've got to pay your rent, and it's your son's birthday coming up on Saturday, and the club want you to pay £70 for his kit, but then you've got 3 other children that need clothing, then it's Liverpool's fault that they're charging that. So if China, which is probably the same place to get the shirts from anyway, and I did this the other day to somebody, I got a shirt that I got off somebody for £22, right? And I got an original that I was sent from somebody who gets them for me anyway, and I put them both together and I said, which shirt do you think is the one from the club? And let me tell you this, hand on heart, he pointed to the wrong shirt. There's no difference. So if you can't afford to go into that day tripper shop, because that's what I call it, a day tripper shop, it's not a club shop, it's a day tripper shop, and you look at tracksuits that are £180. I spoke to my best friend yesterday, he's an Evertonian. He went in to buy his daughter and his son the kits, they quoted him 125 for both. It's disgraceful. So if you can afford to pay that, then well done, and it's your money and you earn it, you do what you like. But to me, right, to me, it should be affordable for every fan. And at the end of the day, all this vapor bollocks, and we'll stick an extra tag on it for £100. And the fact they make 3 kits a season, and the fact that the training gear now used to be like, you know, once you've got Nike, it'd be Nike and that'd be it. But now it's like, let's bring out, how many training tops have we got now? About 95. So, don't get me started on that one, because that's another pet hate of mine. But yeah, we do need another striker, John. We definitely do need another striker. I think when Origi goes, we need another striker, definitely. We need a central midfielder. I said this earlier, a few weeks ago. We needed a centre-back, a centre midfielder and a centre-forward, the whole spine. We got Konate, we need a Van Alden replacement, and then we need a striker. Anyway, I'm getting a sore throat now because I've been ranting for, where's the minutes? 25 minutes. It's great to be back, and I'll be back all week. You'll never walk alone.